off-grid house. My name is Frederik and I've been living alternatively for the last 4 years.
Hi, I'm Elise. I've been living alternatively for around 6 years now.
We've been living here for 3 months now. We intend to live here for 2 years, 3 years. Let's go. Alright, so when we arrived here, this was all plowed and ready for use. And we started using a permaculture garden. So you can see carrots growing here, there's pumpkin growing around here, potatoes over there, and some kale. It was very monocultured. At first there was potatoes and onions. That was mostly what it was used for.
According to the permaculture rules, it's better to watch and to observe first. We just took all the rubbish away because there were so many things growing. It was all fields and it was growing to here, the bushes. So it's a whole discovery actually what the land already gives. We don't need to do much.
Welcome in the greenhouse. We just started cultivating some plants, some zucchini and kale, and we are also growing our bathroom here. We're working on a shower system using these camping bags, and we actually have an empty bathtub.
My vision about the bathtub is that I have a field full of flowers and with herbs that I can use them in the bathtub.
And the goat shed was already here, and for us a compost toilet was both a nice romantic permaculture idea and a necessity because we didn't have a toilet. There's now this system online which you can buy, which is a urine divider to make sure that your urine and fertilizer doesn't go together, because that makes it smelly and that makes it less usable for compost. So we divide the urine goes to the apple tree, you put a little water with it so it doesn't have that much nitrogen. We collect the shit and we put it in the compost bin with all the other compost. We don't use medicine, we don't use very much artificial things in our food, which makes our shit better to compost. It really depends on what you put into your stomach. Do you want to compost your antidepressants? I don't think so. Welcome to the attic. It's actually pretty huge. We didn't expect to have this much space, and it's nice that we can sleep here, and we actually have a tiny bit of space to work on art and to have a little bit of storage room.
And of course creating art and having my own space up here is also necessary for me to work.
So this is the kitchen, pretty big for such a small place, but it's nice to have a lot of storage room because we don't have a fridge and we want to keep as much fruits and vegetables in the dark as possible.
We don't have drinking water. We have this very nice system of drinking water and washing your hands.
We have a little wooden stove. Winter, you have to prepare when you're living like this.
It's necessary to keep the fire going.
Yeah.
It still is quite a very dark place, but there were a lot of old furniture. It was quite dirty, and also upstairs everything was brown, so we painted it white.
And we now made it adaptable, so we can use the kitchen table if we want to, but it can be out of sight when we're not using it.
We like to, I don't know, get things second-hand.
We go with Eastern carpets and plants. I think that's the basis.
Yeah, and we like natural material.
So he was our roommate from the beginning that we moved in here. And he's quite the barker. That's a good thing for us. He can howl very nice. I think it has been built 50 years ago by a guy that just wanted to work on the garden that he had, and it's still there. The benefit for the owner is that he has people that take care of this sort of second house of his that he couldn't be able to take care of because he lives too far away. I mean, we would have never been able to afford to live in a usual on-grid sense in the way that we do now. This place, because it's illegal to live here, in a sense, it doesn't cost that much as a normal house. But we do have the risk of losing it every moment. So that's also a cost, because you have this risk that you need to pay. So there's sort of the psychological stress that comes from that. It costs time. You know, you think twice about what you will be doing in the coming week in terms of, do we have enough water? What kind of food do we need to get? Because we don't have a fridge. And there's this thing with the lights. Well, this one is on solar, which is a nice thing, of course. But also a necessity for us, because we don't have electricity and we don't have running water. And we use the jerry can, and we just go to the office, friends, supermarkets, and we just collect our water there and bring it here, which is a nice dependency. We actually have this thing now with our friends that come by, is that they already know that they have to bring their own water, and they bring a little extra for us. So that it has become a joke, which is a very useful joke for us. Even for me, one of the challenges is hygiene. I'm not the super fancy, I'm shaving my head all the time kind of person, but I do miss a shower. So to combat this stress around not having a lot of hygiene in the house, I use the shower at my work, which is awesome. Is that you can actually, ask friends, can I shower at your place when I don't have a shower? And they will all say, yeah, perfect, just bring a towel. Another thing is physical ability. So we have all this wood to cut, and we have a forest full of there's part of it is dead trees, so we can use them. But you need to plan ahead, this is a lot of work.
Living here has opened up a different journey for me, in case also of comfort, in my own comfort zone. When the sun is shining, I feel good, and I can be outside, and life is easier. And because it doesn't have the same comfort as it has as a normal house or a regular house with the heating system already on. But if I'm not feeling good, or when it's raining or storming and I'm alone and there's nobody around me, a lot of there is some fear coming. A few weeks ago we both were feeling sick, and mentally and physically not feeling good. And then living here was really was kind of quite tough, actually, because we still needed to get our water, we still needed to shower sometimes, and we were also working. I think, like many people, I just sort of rolled into it. It wasn't a lifestyle that I thought out and planned and put in my agenda and then sort of commenced and succeeded in. But thinking back of when it started, it was actually in the house that I owned. It had a garden house in it, and I really liked the garden house. I liked it more than the actual house. So when me and my previous girlfriend broke up, I started living in the sort of shed for a couple of months, just to cover the time needed to sell the place. And with that, I think I never left shed life. So I started looking around to have places to stay. I could stay at friends' houses when they were on holiday. After the house was sold, friends of mine were living in a community where I stayed after that. So that's how it sort of rolled into my life, to be available for a different way of living. And of course there's Elisa, my now girlfriend, who matches that interest in alternative lifestyles, and she was a big motor and catalyst for me to be available for these kinds of things. I like the creativity of dealing with uncertainty and with things out of the usual. And that brings me into jobs that are a little bit different than normal, and it brings me apparently into living in situations that are a little bit out of the ordinary. And with the kind of way that we are living now, our ecological footprint has decreased a lot. I'm not like a fanatic at it. It's just one of the ways that adds meaning to my life. It's this strange thing when you discover that restrictions or principles that feel restricted to others are actually a source for freedom and creativity. I look at now deciding to wear more secondhand clothing gives me the same sort of freedom as having a vegetarian diet. I'm more than at ease, even happy, when I don't have
major or this huge amount of choices to make in the supermarket. I can just skip aisles because I don't need them. And it actually saves a lot of time and energy.
I mean, thrifted stuff, they have also a certain feeling about it for me.
Yeah, and it fits with this striving to consume less.
Yeah.
Yeah, you must be available to be flexible. We have not a lot of stuff, and we have many places where we can stay at any moment. And that's something that you can prepare if you would like to live like this. But I would recommend them to think about, okay, what do you value? And to translate it very practically into your own life. One of the things that helped me to get here is to get the word out. Ask people, like, could you help me find a place like this and this? And it's very strange how you end up finding these kinds of places. They're never in the open marketplace. I mean, you can read books about this before starting this lifestyle, but you haven't gotten your hands dirty yet. But I think it's super useful to have practical know-how about systems that are not using a lot of electricity, but actually creating it. And to have this, practical intelligence or this practical skill about building systems, that's really, really useful. I don't have a strict way of living. It just happens at this moment to be the way, and I'm discovering on the go whether it was a good idea or whether it was a bad idea. Or a tiny house wasn't really our concern. We just wanted to have a big garden. And the same holds for this place, is that we really like to live in nature. A place where you can grow stuff, and it just happens to be an off-grid place.
I really want to make contact with the area I live in, and with nature, and with the birds, and with the flowers, and with myself also. And in the city it can be a little bit too overwhelming to make contact with everything.
I want to have a relationship with nature where I can tell my future children that I try to find a way of balancing with what I take from nature and what I give back to nature. And then your life becomes this narrative full of small rituals, and those rituals will remind you of the values that you have. Yeah, you're exposed to the cyclic time, and that's, of course, in the city life it's less available because you have artificial light always available. To live according to the elements and also the pattern of the sun. I like what Elisa also said, it slows you down. So there's less stimulus. It's actually now, there's visually less stimulation, but also I think the body prepares for sleep better.
But here it allows me to dive deeper in myself. I find it calming in a way. It feels like time can be a bit more slower over here. And it also gives me a lot of inspiration for my art, and to make a contact with nature in a way that I can work with it through my art. My website is elisevanmene.com, and I also have Instagram. You can find me also at Elise_vanmene.
Today I find myself more at ease with questions and searching. That there's more truth in seeking than in knowing.
Thank you for visiting us. Het was gezellig dat je hier was in our little house in the woods. Goodbye.
See you.
Hi, everyone. Hope you enjoyed this episode in the Alternative Dwelling series. If you wanted to see more, a playlist is popping up right now where you can watch every episode we've ever made. Don't forget to like this video and hit that subscribe button, and check out the links in the description if you want to support this channel and this show. And we'll see you next Monday for another episode of Alternative Dwellings.